I have one question for you. Are you your own worst enemy? Are you the one causing chaos in your own life? These are the questions that I want you to answer today as we get into the goods. All right, so that happened. But what's going on? It's the OCPD coach. I hope you know me by now. But if you don't know me, let me tell you a little bit about me. My name is Shannon Williams, and I love to help folks. I like to help folks do specific things, though. We all know about progress, but most of us don't have a great or healthy relationship with progress. And I'm the person who likes to come in and help you build a healthier relationship with progress overall, right? So, somebody with ADHD and OCPD, I'm all over the place. You never know what you might see on this channel, you never know what you might get. It's whatever it is, it's probably not going to fit in the box. It's going to need 60 more size so we can have 64 size in our shape at minimum. But I want to talk to you all about something that is kind of emotional, honestly. Might be a little bit triggering, so I do hope that you all take caution when watching this video, and if you need any help, please talk to somebody because you do have support. And honestly, it's something that I dealt with for a very long time myself and didn't even realize how serious of an issue it was, right? And you're like, okay, dude, just spit it out. What is it? I'm talking about being your own worst enemy. Being that voice in your head telling you how bad of a job you're doing. Being the reason why you don't get things done because your lack of confidence. Being the person who gets in the way of meaningful or healthy, potentially healthy relationships because of your fear, because of your anxiety. There are a bunch of different reasons and a bunch of different ways that we can be our own worst enemy. And I'm not a psychiatrist who can help you through understanding every single reason why. I don't prescribe medication or anything like that. But what I will do is let you know, first of all, that you aren't alone with that. I'm just throwing that out there. I know it might not mean much, but I'm throwing it out there. You're not alone with that. Many people, even when they get to the highest levels of life, of a sport, still have that same exact thought. I'll talk about somebody like Kobe. Kobe Bryant is somebody who I know has completely different trajectories, but maybe it's our Virgo mentality. He was always striving for more, always wanting more. It was never enough. The deed was never done until it was done. And then you went right to the next deed. I developed that same exact mentality. I don't even know when I developed it, but it was something that with my wife, especially with my wife, it became an issue with my mentality and how rigid I was and her mentality and how emotional she was with things. And I'll give you a great example of this. When I started a business, it was my first real adult business that I tried to do, which was a virtual reality arcade. I tried to build it with zero marketing skills, zero confidence in my work to market it. I didn't know how to manage my time. I didn't know how to manage my money. And I had no business acumen at the time. I didn't know what I was doing. I just jumped out there with $1 in a dream. That's what it was. It was $1 in a dream. I could have ruined my life. Honestly, could have ruined my life. But that business flopped big time. Big time. I don't even think I had one customer. Not one customer came through the door, and I was only open for a month, and then I realized it was going nowhere and shut it down. But I didn't have a single customer come in the doors to my virtual reality arcade that I thought was the future. Because nothing was like this in 2019 that was mainstream. There was nothing. So I took that gamble. And I remember failing. I remember failing hard. It was something that it was kind of emotional for me. I didn't I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I was going, what I was going to do. I was lost. My confidence was shot. I was embarrassed. That's a big one that came with it. I was ashamed. It was something where I had my entire family come to support it. I had friends from work come to support it. I had my now wife, she was just my girlfriend at the time, watching me every step of the way, family involved. And for me, it seemed like I let everybody down. And I haven't really even reflected on this too much, which is crazy. It's the first time I'm really talking about this, but it changed me. It changed me. And I'm getting back to the point that I was making about my wife's more emotional side and my rigid side. The second it happened, I didn't sit up making excuses. I'm proud of how I handled it. I took it on the chin. I said, "Hey, I failed." I remember my mom even wanted to help out. My mom was one of those moms, kind of like a helicopter parent, but she's very supportive. She wanted to help me financially to support it, and I remember telling her explicitly, "No, this has to be a lesson. And if you give me money to keep this thing afloat, I don't learn anything from it." So I took that on the chin. My wife saw me. She saw me do this. And it was something that for her, when I said I failed, when I said my business failed, my business flopped, and I used those words, she tried to correct me. She said, "No, you didn't fail. It's just this. It was just that. It was just this. It was just that." And I'm like, no matter how you slice it, it was a failure. I failed. And when I talk about being your worst enemy, this is the type of situation that I'm talking about. Because I spent 3 months. I don't even like using the word depression, man. That's a really strong word, but it's the closest thing I've ever felt to it, to what my understanding of depression is. Especially being an adult man who had spent 5 years in the workforce, 4 or 5 years at that point in time, doing great things. I'm doing partnerships with Marvel, the NCAA, the Detroit Lions. I'm making video games. I have my own apartment. Moved out at 19. Never had to ask anybody to pay a bill. I was doing great. And in that moment in time, it's as if my whole life, I wrapped my entire life and my entire self-worth up in being successful and getting the position, earning the position. And I couldn't earn a position broke. I couldn't be, in my eyes, successful broke, poor. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I didn't want to be seen. I remember I gained weight. I gained weight. I was wearing the same dingy. I was cleaning my stuff, but this is another weird thing. OCPD, we're going to talk about this at some point, but we can keep clothes as long as they're clean and keep using the same clothes as long as they're usable. So I had T-shirts that I probably had for 2 years that were, to me, clean. I washed them every day. I washed my T-shirts. I wore my T-shirts one day. So I only wore each T-shirt one day, and I washed them every single week. So it was a fresh T-shirt I put on every single day, but they were dingy. I was wearing basketball shorts all the time that were just horrible looking. My shoes, I didn't spend any money on. I remember it was a period of time where my hair wasn't the freshest. I just wasn't cutting my hair. It was a lot. And I was my own worst enemy because I let that funk destroy my mental. It was my imposter syndrome, my imposter syndrome that I had up to that point in my life. I let that moment in time validate it all. You didn't deserve to get that position you got at 19. It was luck. You didn't deserve to do the cool projects that you worked on. It was just because you were black and they wanted to do some token stuff to make you feel better. I don't know. Whatever the business jargon would have been in my head, whatever that narrative would have been, it was all validated. You will never find work again. You will never be able to work in corporate America again. You are going to have to go back to installing glass and doors like you were doing in high school for $20 every single Saturday. You're not going to have a family. Don't even think about having kids. Don't even think about getting married. Do you know how she looks at you right now? She doesn't respect you. You You can't provide for her. Her father doesn't respect you. They only respected you because you had that job, because you had the money. And now you showed them you are a failure at business and you're a failure at life. That's how I was talking to myself. That's what I need you to understand. I was my worst enemy. I was my worst enemy. And had it not been for my wife and my father-in-law, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where I would be right now. I don't. And I remember when people tell me things, I remember. I remember my father-in-law told my wife, "Don't let Shannon give up on himself right now." And somehow, I don't know how he knew I needed to hear it, but in my head, I'd already done it. So I'm gonna get out of the sappy stuff. I wound up graduating from college around this time. Graduated from Full Sail with my bachelor's degree, and my mom wanted me to come out to Florida so that I could celebrate and walk across the stage. I've never been one for fanfare. Never cared for it. Never liked it. Even my prom, I wanted to do my prom really basic, but my mom is all about the flash and we got to put on a big show and all that stuff. And I'm glad she's like that because she pulls me out of my shell more than I ever would be out of my shell. So come out here for my graduation, and it dawns on me. This is the thing about ADHD for me that I love is it takes me from 0 to 100 as low as I was feeling when everything hit the fan, so to speak. I have this love for professional wrestling that can pull me out of any funk, and I cannot describe it. And I always say it has to do with my hyper focus, and I think the nostalgia of being a kid and loving it so much. But I remember walking across the stage, and it dawned on me: this is where NXT is shot. You're walking across the same stage that Adam Cole and Keith Lee, Aleister Black, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. Who else was big at the time? I think Ricochet was still there. All of these pro wrestlers. Oh, crap. I forgot. Batista came down that entrance. Cena, The Shield, Bray Wyatt, all these folks, Finn Balor. All these folks that when I was working, 19 years old, 20 years old, I was just thinking, man, it must be awesome to be a wrestler. It must be awesome to wrestle for the WWE. It must be awesome to even be in that area because in Detroit, I was in a box. So it's like you shut off from the rest of the world in Detroit. And it was that moment when I walked across that stage, and I still have the picture with the big letters that had my name. It was at that moment that I got a smile on my face again, a real smile. It was at that moment I got hope. And it was at that moment that I had ammunition to use against myself, the bad part of myself, right? And there was something else that happened that day. When I was there, they told me I was being awarded valedictorian. I was valedictorian in 8th grade. I was smart. I've always been smart. I remember I had 4.0s in middle school, all that stuff. But high school, it wasn't as much. High school, I went less the academic route and more of the I want to run a business. I want to be creative route. And that's where my ADHD really started kicking my butt because I was all over the place. But I never really thought about being valedictorian again. And in that moment, they said, yeah, you're valedictorian of this program. And I was like, oh, crap, so I'm good? I'm good at what I do. I'm decent enough, at least, where in my class, I was able to be at the top of the class. Any competition you're in, you want to win, right? So that gave me hope as well. So I walked across the stage knowing where I was, knowing I had the valedictorian, and knowing what I wanted to do. And the next day, I told my wife, I told my little sister first because I was with her. And I said, I'm moving. I'm moving from Michigan. And I moved to Florida. And let me tell you how good God is real quick. Even to this day, our entire family says us moving to Florida from Michigan was the best thing we ever did. the best decision we ever made. And I had to stand up to myself. I need you to understand what I'm saying right now. The amount of ammunition that had been used against me originally, negative ammunition, I was somehow able to offset that with confidence and faith. Confidence and faith. That's all I had. To say, okay, cool. This version of Shannon can sit in the corner and cry for the rest of his life and be a little baby about the whole situation and never move on and never try something new. But this other side is gonna take a chance. And that chance was worth it. Every second of the chance has been worth it. Moved out here, I didn't have a job. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I had no idea. My now wife, she moved with me. We had no idea. I told her though, I said I would rather work at Taco Bell in Florida than stay in Michigan because I was so just out of it there. And it wasn't until I came to Florida that I actually had that semblance of happiness and peace. And it changed my whole perspective. It did. Because when I moved out here and everything worked out, I was able to look at every single decision that I made going forward as, even if this doesn't seem right in the moment, it still is going to work out in the end. I didn't have my business. Think about this, the irony of this situation. My business, I built it in 2019 when I was trying to do the virtual reality arcade. We moved in October and COVID hit the beginning of 2020. So my business was going to have to be closed down anyways. And when I thought about it like that, it changed me even more where I said, I was really going to let a situation that was supposed to be a growth moment destroy the rest of my life. But God. God. So I wanted to just put this out here because you might be somebody who's in the situation that I was in originally, where you are your worst enemy. You are the person talking you out of doing things, telling you shouldn't have confidence, telling you not to be in, not to even, I have a better one. Men who are afraid to approach women. My wife is 3 years older than me, baby. And the way I approached her when we were younger. If I never took that chance, wouldn't have the life I live now. So, young men, you have to take that chance. Reach out. Worst thing that could happen is a no. There's a job you want to try to get the job. I have examples of doing that. I reached out when I was at the big company in Michigan to the chief marketing officer, and I was just in a small training team learning how to build games. And I said, I want to build games publicly so we can push these games to the public. And people thought I was crazy for asking for that meeting. They're like, why would you ask for that meeting? We don't do games here. 2 months later, guess who's getting a call saying, hey, Barry Sanders and the Detroit Lions, well, not even the Detroit Lions, just in that moment, Barry Sanders has signed a partnership with us, and we want to do something with Snapchat. Snapchat says it's going to cost them X amount of money to have a game built, and we have to go through a third-party company. We know that you said you build games. Can you build it? By the way, we have a week. You see? That was the opportunity, and we were prepared, and we knocked that out of the park. Highest played, it was the longest played Snapchat game that was used for marketing at that point in time. Over 800,000 people played that game. I was having 20 people play the games that I was building in the small training team. 20 folks at a time. And then they said over 800,000 people played our game for 90 seconds average on an ad. This is what I'm talking about. It was a chance. And that led to more opportunities. When Marvel Infinity War came out, they said, hey, Snapchat wants to do another one because that first one was so good. Can we do another one for Infinity War? We can't tell you anything about it because the movie's top secret. But we can tell you can use characters in pairs. You can do this character and that character. This is where the setting could be. Now y'all come up with a game. Do whatever you want. this was the dream I had when I was in college, when I had to drop out of college because they didn't have any gaming related stuff there. I left a full ride scholarship to go work for that company because I wanted to do games. And they saw I was doing games at home, taking that chance, not letting myself be my worst enemy in the moment. And it paid off. So I have countless examples that I can tell you all about my personal life where my worst enemy could have got in my way. My worst enemy being myself could have got in my own way. And I want you all to make sure you don't let that happen to you. Please, if you come across this video and it's something you've been waiting to do, waiting to try, you want to learn how to do something, do it. Please do it. Please do it. At least try. Worst thing that can happen is it fails and you try something else. Okay? Be smart, obviously, though. Don't just go and buy 70 Teslas and say, the OCPD coach told me that if I wanted to start a two-roll business, I needed to just go for it. Don't put that on me. But if it's something that you know it's a risk, that's if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world, that's what you go for. All right? So I know this was a longer one, but I think it was worth it. I do. I want these videos to be something that it sparks something in you. When I got those comments from folks telling me that they were happy they came across my channel, they were happy that they were able to relate to me in different ways, that touched me on an emotional level that I didn't expect to get touched by YouTube because I never had that type of interaction with folks in my comment section. So for me, it made me want to give you all more and be even more open with you and share whatever I can with you. So please, 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 please don't be your own worst enemy. All right? I'll talk to y'all soon. Make sure if you like this video, if you liked it, only if you liked it, and I think you did like it, because if you made it this far, you probably liked it. I want you to go ahead and leave a like. Leave a comment. Even if you just say, what's up? Just say, what's up? I'll be happy. If you're not subscribed and you like this content, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let me show the little animation again. There it is. Look, I'm not even there anymore. Pop. That bell, that's what you want to do. Hit that notification bell so that every single time I post, you get updated. Another thing, I'm a streamer too, baby. I'm a streamer. I stream 4 times a week now. On Saturday nights, I stream from 8:30 to midnight, showing myself building video games. I do then pop right back on at midnight and stream for about 2 hours, me playing a video game. The next day, on Sunday, I pop in at about 1:15 p.m., and I walk you all through how I plan out an entire week of my life. So you get to see every single aspect of my life that I plan out inside of Jira. You get to watch it. You get to be part of it. If you are planning out your own week, if you need Jira advice, this is the perfect time to hop in. Ask questions. Get whatever you need to get from it, all right? And then I'm doing live streams on Thursdays at 4 p.m., I believe, where I will be going over all of the tasks that I had assigned for the week and just checking to see where I am with it. So I would love for y'all to be there, honestly. I'm trying to do streams to get more connected with you all. And another thing, I want to get this page, this channel monetized at some point. Been sitting on this page for over a year now. I need to take it serious. All right, let's take it serious. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers. I know you can help me do it if you like this content. And if we get to 1,000 subscribers, we hit a certain amount of watch time, then these videos can be monetized, and this can become a form of income for me, which only incentivizes me even more to put more time and energy into it. So I appreciate you guys. I hope y'all keep fighting for your life, and I'll see y'all on the next one. All right, peace. As soon as I find the record button. Oh, I clicked the wrong button.